GTR News. The news. We bring you local news, business news, international, sports, and entertainment news. Right here on GTR.
Good day and welcome to the afternoon news on Ghana Talks Radio. My name is Sandra Asante. Top stories. Mahama Ayariga to petition CHRAJ against soldiers who allegedly shot and killed people in Bawku. Economy will rebound sooner rather than later. President Akufo-Addo assures Ghanaians. 6 killed, 40 injured after car drives in crowd in Belgium. There's some more stories after the break.
We bring you local news, business news, international, sports, and entertainment news. Right here on GTR. GTR News. GTR News.
You're most welcome back from the break to your first story. Over the last couple of days, scores of national service personnel have taken to social media to lament the delay in the disbursement of the monthly allowance. In a series of tweets and comments monitored, the personnel said the delay in the payment of their allowance has made life difficult for them, especially in the wake of the recent economic hardship.
National service at a cost to yourself. You are paying your own transportation in and out, which the average is about 11 cedis a day if you are using public transport every day. And then you feed yourself. If you spend, let's say, 15 cedis twice, that's 30 cedis. That's 41 cedis in a day. And then you are being given an allowance of 559.
If we do the calculation,
you do the calculation, you are in a debt of 671. That's living very moderate.
Going by the average 40.
Yes, going by the average, you are in the depth of that. If we measure on 30 days. And still, for 3 months, this has not been paid. What magic are students supposed to, national service personnel supposed to perform? Are we magicians? And we are saying all this without consideration of the fact that when you leave school and you are posted to a place where you've not lived at before, you are supposed to rent. And all these things, these rent components and all these things are not even in the conversation. They are not in perspective. The national service personnel are supposed to serve the nation, go to work almost every day. It's a terrible thing to have angry youth in a country like this, where nothing is working. And look at the rates at which transportation cost has been increasing. It was 3 cities 80 pesos moving from Legon campus to Ridge when I'm going for work. Now it is 5 cities 50 pesos, just within less than 3 weeks. And you are supposed to deal.
The information out there is that there is no money. Yes, but they haven't, spoken officially as in why there are delays in the payment. But people are of the view that, and some have also commented that there's no money in the system. But we are waiting for the employer, so that is government, to perhaps, put some light into it. That is basically what. Some of us have. Some of them are even our friends. Those who are heading the NASPA, organization. We've spoken to some of them, and quite a number of them have also explained that they are also waiting for the secretariat to give them, information. So everybody is waiting because we don't want to speak, and it is like, so we are also waiting on them to perhaps throw more light. But we have spoken.
Meanwhile, the National Service Scheme NSS has denied assertions that it owes personnel 3 months arrears in allowance. According to Director for Corporate Affairs at the NSS, Armstrong Esa, personnel have been paid up to December 2021. He stated that the National Service Scheme owes the National Service personnel 2 months, that's January and February. He further assures that the January allowances will be paid by Wednesday. Meanwhile, the General Secretary of the National Union of Ghana Students, NAX, Julius Kwame Anthony, said Mr. Esa's contention that personnel have been paid their December allowance is not factual. The Tema Regional Police Command has denied claims that #Fix the Country Convener Oliver Baker from a war donated food to suspect locked up at the Ashaman police station. On Sunday, the #Fix the Country movement were at the station to donate food items and toiletries. But according to Mr. Baker, he was denied access by the police due to an order from above. Speaking to the press over the weekend, he noted that contrary to the claims by the police, he and his colleagues had earlier published their intentions to visit the inmate, and therefore the claim by the police that they were not aware of his coming is false. In a press statement signed by the head of the public affairs in Tema, Chief Inspector Stella Dede Zakwasu, the police revealed that Mr. Baker from a war was informed through his lawyers his initiative was against police standard operating procedure. SOP therefore was advised to refrain from carrying out the said donation. According to the police, in spite of the notice given him, he showed up at the police station in the company of some other individuals and a musical band, and the obvious intention still of making the donation and creating unnecessary drama. The convener's action, the police noted, left them with no choice but to refuse him the opportunity. To our next local story, President Akufo-Addo has stated that Coup is not a panacea to solve Ghana's problem. Speaking at the 92nd speech and prize-giving day at the St. Augustine's College in Cape Coast on Saturday, 19th March 2021, President Akufo-Addo, touching on the country's democratic credentials, he noted that Ghanaian people for these 29 years of the Fourth Republic have reposed their trust in democratic process. The president was confident that the great majority of Ghanaians who are committed to democratic values and democratic institutions will continue to resist the rhetoric and advances of coup mongers and coup plotters, and those of us who have the responsibility to safeguard the integrity of the state will employ all legitimate means in a democracy to preserve the free, open system of governance which is respectful of human rights and the rule of law, as well as the principles of democratic accountability.
Whom I have characterized as restless spirits, we are not prepared to allow you to complete your education in conditions of calm, peace, and stability. And we see constant turbulence in the governance of the state. This has led lately to some irresponsible pronouncements about coups as panaceas to our problems. I have said, and will use this platform to repeat, that coups have never been and will never be solutions to the political, economic, and security challenges confronting our nation and continent. I'm confident that the great majority of Ghanaians who are committed to democratic values and democratic institutions will continue to resist the rhetoric and advances of coup mongers and coup plotters. And those of us who have the responsibility to safeguard the integrity of the state will employ all legitimate means in a democracy to preserve our free, open system of governance, which is respectful of human rights, the rule of law, and the principles of democratic accountability.
To Bawku Central Member of Parliament Mahama Ayariga has served a notice to petition the Commission on Human Rights and Administration Justice CHRAJ to investigate the soldiers who allegedly shot and killed innocent people in Bawku. In a view of that, Mr. Ayariga, the action of the soldiers violated the human rights of the affected victims, hence his decision to petition CHRAJ. Meanwhile, the Ghana Armed Force GAF has described as false and diversionary claims that its personnel were on rampage in Bawku and killing civilians. It said in a statement on Thursday, March 17th, that its personnel at 11 Merchandise Battalion, with the support of the police, conducted a series of cordon and search operations in Bawku and its environs in a bid to fish out armed assailants. This operation was triggered, according to the military, as a result of renewed clashes and sporadic shootings in the border town in the past few days. But the operation, according to GAF, resulted in exchange of fire between personnel and some armed assailants at the Sabongari suburb of Bawku. In the process, one assailant died and 5 persons, including 3 soldiers, 2 of whom have been taken to Accra, were injured. Immediately, 10 suspects were rounded up and handed over to the Bawku District Police for further investigations. The statement, signed by Director of Public Relations Captain Michael Addo Labi of the Ghanaian Navy, explained that some of the suspects who had been hit by bullets were traced to the Akunye Memorial Hospital, where they were placed under armed guard. Another woman was sent to the Vineyard Hospital for treatment. This is what Mr. Ayariga has to say.
We appreciate their presence to separate the various factions and to provide security. But the conduct of some of them in the last couple of days has been most regrettable. I think that the mayhem that they unleashed on the Bawku community
GTR News.
3 days ago is totally unacceptable. I know that the lives of some soldiers were at stake, but unfortunately, the reaction of the soldiers has been very high-handed, and I think that we will have to look into that. I will personally send a complaint to the Commission of Human Rights and Administrative Justice for them to investigate the conduct of the military in the Bawku community. Were lost needlessly, people's property destroyed. These are clear human rights violations.
Still on the Bawku story, security analyst Dr. Adam Buna has called for closure of a radio station to operating in Bawku due to the renewed conflict in that part of the country. In his view, people call into radio stations to incite violence and also spill lies, hence the conflict in the area. Speaking to the pressman, he said, "I wish that radio stations in Bawku to be closed down. A lot of people call in and either incite violence or spew lies." You are still tuning into the afternoon news on Ghana Talks Radio. Some business stories now, and the Ministry of Trade and Industry will collaborate with other private sector agencies to institute the National Governance Code for public and private sector institutions. According to a Deputy Minister for Trade and Industry, Nana Ama Dukia Asiama Ajay, this will promote transparency and accountability in the management of the country's resources. Speaking at the sensitization meeting on the African Principles and Guidelines on Corporate Governance in Accra, she said, as we emerge from the current COVID-19 pandemic, we require a new emphasis on strengthening governance and sound management of corporate Ghana and public sector institutions to deliver the desired outcomes for all stakeholders group. President Nana Akufo-Addo has assured that the policies being implemented by government in the wake of the difficulties occasioned by the COVID-19 pandemic will help the economy rebound faster than anticipated. Acknowledging the difficult times the nation is going through, President Akufo-Addo noted that every country on the face of the planet is going through challenges brought forth largely by the pandemic of COVID-19. Speaking at the 92nd Speech and Prize Giving Day at St. Augustine's College in Cape Coast on Saturday, 19th of March 2021, President Akufo-Addo noted that the Ghanaian economy grew at an occasional of a provisional 5.2% in the first 3 quarters of 2021, which the GDP growth for 2021 projected at 56% as against 0.4% of 2020.
I know these are difficult times for all of us. Our nation and indeed every country on the face of the planet is going through challenges brought forth largely by the pandemic of COVID-19. Ghana is not the only country faced with extraordinary increases in global freight rates, strong inflationary pressures, dramatically rising fuel prices, unprecedented volatility of stock markets, and tighter global financing conditions. These are global phenomena. Nonetheless, government continues to work hard to address these issues, and I am certain that sooner rather than later, our economy, the implementation of government's 100 billion CD Ghana Cares or Bantampa program will rebound from the ravages of the pandemic, bringing in its wake stability, development, progress, and prosperity for all Ghanaians. We need to undertake the difficult but necessary fiscal and other measures that will enable us to maintain the 2021 and higher rates of growth in the immediate years.
On the international front, the authorities says at least 6 people were killed when a shopping center and a number of houses were hit in the Podolsky district of Kyiv, about 80 miles that is 13 kilometers north from where they were. There were a series of very loud bangs about 22:30 to 23 o'clock. They said that it was really affecting the people. The UK Ministry of Defense says it believes Kyiv remains Russia's top prize in this war, despite the army's frustrated advances elsewhere. At least 6 people have been killed after a car drove into a crowd of carnival goers in southern Belgium. The incident happened in the small town of Scrippi-Bac-Guengnis, about 30 miles, that is 50 kilometers south of the capital, Brussels. The car drove at high speed into dozens of people who were preparing to take part in a traditional parade on Sunday morning. Around 40 people were injured and several are in a serious condition. The town's mayor said there were about 150 to 200 people who were following the parade, and the car arrived from behind and drove into the crowd, Jacques Corbett said. We are in Tunisia, and the Tunisian president has said everyone will have the chance to comment on his proposals for political reform. Kais Saied, who suspended parliament and seized executive power last year, was speaking on state television. He said he will hold a referendum on constitutional change in July. Mr. Said's comment came after thousands of people protested in Tunis on Sunday, some shouting "Bring down the president." Critics says the president is acting to bolster his own authority and wants to restrict civil liberties gained in the Arab Spring revolt in 2011. He has said the reforms will help end years of government paralysis and weak economic growth in Tunisia. Tributes are poured in for Uganda's Parliament Speaker Jacob Oulanya, who died on Sunday while undergoing treatment in the U.S. The news of his demise was announced on Twitter by President Yoweri Museveni, who gave no information on the cause of death. Mr. Olunya, 56, had held the Speaker's position for about 10 months. His transfer from the local hospital to Seattle's has sparkled a public uproar over the high cost of his treatment. President Museveni described the deceased speaker as a good country. Burundian President Evariste Ndayishimiye said he learned of the death with sorrow and sadness. Veteran opposition politician Kizza Besigye sent his sincere and heartfelt condolences to the family. Still on international stories, more than 10 soldiers have been killed by suspected jihadists in Burkina Faso's eastern region, military sources have said. It followed Sunday's attack on a military patrol and security team in Atiaboni, a rural town in an area that had been regularly targeted by attackers. Burkina Faso's military government seized power in January and ousted President Roch Kabore, blaming him for failing to tackle a jihadist insurgency. The violence since 2015 has left thousands dead and forced millions to flee their homes. To some entertainment stories, 7 people have been charged after an armed robbery was staged last month on French film set of hit Netflix series Lupin. Around 20 hooded thieves attacked the film crew by launching fireworks at them. A Netflix spokesperson said they stole more than 300,000 euros, that is $250,000 to $330,000 worth of equipment during the heist in a broad daylight. None of the cast or crew who were on set reported, to include the show star Omar Say, were injured. The crew was attacked while they were filming at the Naturis district west of central Paris, forcing production to briefly pause. The 7 accused, aged between 13 to 21, now face charges of armed robbery as part of an organized gang and receiving stolen goods, according to agency France Presse. 3 of them being held in custody while 4 are under judicial supervision. Police says they are still looking for more of the assailant and have recovered some of the stolen equipment. This is where I end the afternoon news. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching on Facebook as well. You can log on to our website, www.ghanatalksradio.com, for more news updates. My name is Sandra Sanchez. Stay tuned for the Sported Bit. Have a great afternoon.